So I got a lot of questions on my last video about Roatan for kiters, so I figured I'd follow it up with a bit of a travel guide. I was actually headed back from the Grenadines and a friend hit me up saying they'd booked a trip to Roatan. A quick Google search turned up a low-key Caribbean island with a cruise ship terminal on one end and basically everything else was remote. It had some good kiting, so I jumped in and said yes. To get there at the time, most of the flights went through Houston and they're on United. And then you land in Juan Manuel Galvez Airport, where you get on a van. I think it's an hour or two drive to the other end of the island, where then you hit kind of the dirt roads. And in our case, we were going to Fort Morgan Cay, so then you hop on a small boat to get out there. Fort Morgan Cay really is a dream island. The landing, just the arrival before the boat was picturesque. The island itself is stunning. It's super private, and it's kind of got this fancy glamping Robinson Crusoe vibe. Outside of kiting, there's not a lot to do, so a lot of lounging, paddleboarding, snorkeling, sleeping in a hammock. It's definitely an amazing place to relax. In terms of tips, I'd say definitely try to stay there. Stay for longer if you can. And then they offer a special local breakfast. Sign up for that. In terms of the kiting, let's start with Port Royal, which is just right out front if you're staying on Fort Morgan Cay. This is a huge deep water spot, and it was completely empty the entire time I was there. I was there in February of 2020, and that was technically in their wind season, but not the peak months. We got some inconsistent wind, so foiling really was important here. The nice thing about this spot is further east you have a nice flat water spot near Careening Key, so there's kind of a shallow reef that blocks all of the chop. And then on the other end of Port Royal, there's another spot down here where there's a shallow reef, and it's a shallow water spot, good for beginners, and the instructors from Camp Bay can come over and teach lessons here, which I think is worth it. My kite tips for this side of the island: remember, it's not really a dedicated kite spot, so be ready to stand up, paddleboard, or spend time on the beach. Bring a foil if you can, and then if you're not staying here, I think it's worth a trip to come check it out and kite at the different spots around Fort Morgan Cay. So now let's hop over to Camp Bay. First, the trip from one side of the island to the other is worth it by boat. You ride along the coast, and then you have this really cool section through the mangroves that's super fun. You kind of get out here at the Camp Bay docks, and it's a kite school. It's a good school for beginners. The spot is a little bit choppier than on the bay side, but at least you have a reef a bit further out that blocks kind of beginners from the big waves. Overall, it's a beautiful spot. The sunsets in particular were incredible. In terms of my tips, I say take the boat ride, going through the mangroves, super fun. Stay for a cocktail. It was nice to end the day with a drink. And then most importantly, avoid the reef. I fell, I cut up my legs, I cut up my hands, I cut up my wetsuit. It was a bit of a mess. So yeah, there you have it. That's my take on Roatan. Hope this helps anyone that's considering going. I'd go back in a heartbeat, and I would definitely stay a lot longer. Please subscribe. It helps motivate me to make more videos. Hit the like button. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments down below.